We have two really, really good D-18s here. And they're different flavors here. This one over here, the one with the lighter top, is a 2022 D-18 1937 authentic. It's pretty new. It just came in. The condition is absolutely spectacular. I don't think this guitar has been played very much at all. It doesn't feel like it's been played a lot. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's been played a lot. But looking at like the fretware, yeah, there's a little bit of fretware. So it's been played a little bit, but it feels new. And it is. It's a 22. So, not very old. This one over here has been in a couple of videos. It's going home this week. And I'm really glad to make this comparison between these two guitars. This one is an Outlaw 17, which is a strange. It's one of those. One of 100. Martin did a very limited series for the NOM show and things like that, where they wanted to showcase some guitars. I've got another one over there we're going to look at here real quickly. But that's what this is. I had never even heard of this Outlaw 17 until I got my custom shop Bluegrass 16, and then someone was talking about how they played one in a shop and they weren't very impressed with it, and they played the Outlaw 17 next to it and they were super impressed. And they're like, what is an Outlaw 17? And then I had a local customer say that he had just bought one of these and wanted me to do a setup on it. And I'm like, yeah, you bet, I'm really cutting back on work, but what I'm doing is anytime something unique like this comes in, or I had a Collings CW a couple of weeks ago. That was a unique, an unusual rare guitar, And so, yes, I'm going to get that so I can get a video of the thing. Check it out. So this is the only one I've ever seen. I was so taken with this guitar. I just thought, gosh, this is really good. And it's good in a strange sort of way, because it's not a traditional sort of guitar. Now, 37A is the traditional guitar, This one is not. It's got so many nods towards traditionalism, but it's a very modern approach to it. So it's kind of like the 37A is like Norman Blake, and this is Billy Strings. It's a hard nod towards traditionalism, but definitely a modern take to it. And so this is an unusual, strange guitar. It's got white herringbone binding on a D-18. And you look at it from the front and you go, that's a D-28, because it's ebony and got herringbone binding on it. But it's mahogany back and sides, kids. Yeah, really, really good mahogany. I mean, the back is put together here so close. It does not have a traditional back strip in here, and you have to look hard to find that it's actually a two-piece back. So this is just a really interesting guitar. The neck is the MLO neck, so super slim, and the same taper here to here. It's a little bit thicker, but I measured it, but it's only like 20 thousandths of an inch difference from here to here. The feel in the hand is of a very even taper. So the feel in the hand for me is this is a lead guitar playing neck here. It feels the same here as it does here. And I'm all over the neck on this, and it's just so comfortable. And that's the thing that struck me. It's sitting over there about the Bluegrass 16. I had no idea about that guitar. I had no idea what neck it was, whatever. And in the first video review that I did of it, I said, man, this neck is just a lead player's dream. At least for me it is. And then I found out it's the dreaded MLO neck that so many people hate. Now, I can see why. Because it's a slim neck. And if you like chunky necks, you're going to love that 37A. So that's what this guitar is. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I hear playing them in just a minute. But let's look at the 37A. So this is the 37A. It's got a massive neck on it. I mean, this is the chunky neck, and this is a big neck. I get along pretty good with the 37, with this D-18 neck, as opposed to the D-28 37A, which has a much thinner first fret area. And so the feeling that I used to own the 37A, a D-28 37, and the feeling I had was that it was always way too slim down here in the first fret. And my 41A is the same thing. The D-28 41A is too slim down here at the first fret. You get up the second, third frets, fourth frets, it's fine then. But the taper then is pretty big. Not so much on the 47, but on the 37 D-28, it's just got this incredibly fat taper, which I've measured, and it's probably it is the most taper I have ever measured. It goes from the thinnest Martin neck I have yet measured to the fattest, all in the same guitar. The effect when you're moving up the neck is your hand swells like this, and it's not comfortable shifting positions. The D-18 is not quite that bad. It's chunkier up here, and it's massive up here by the heel. But I don't really play that much up here, and I'm definitely not doing chord shapes up here, which is where I really feel. I'm doing lead, and I'm just coming in for a couple notes, and I'm getting back out and moving around like this, and I can deal with this taper. And it has a decent rounded V to it, which I really, really like. So I'm all right with this neck, but it is a handful coming off of that Outlaw, especially. This is a big, chunky neck. All right, this particular guitar has got some pretty cool bear claw going on right in here. And boy, I like bear claw. It gives the guitar a character. Let's see if we can get it. I'm not sure. It's coming through on camera. Just keep your eyes open as you look at the guitar. Bear claw up here. I like bear claw. I do think it sounds a little bit different though, and I'm not sure exactly how to describe it, but it's maybe a little bit more complex and small. But I've always liked guitars that have bear claw in them. They just seem like they have something interesting going on in the sound, and it's not always better or worse or anything like that. It's just kind of an interesting thing, you know. All right, so I got this guitar in yesterday, and I did a setup video on it. And my impressions in playing it is it took me a minute to warm up to it. Maybe because I had just strung it up from, being flown in here from New Jersey. It took me a minute to warm up to it. I played it a lot last night, and I played it with the Outlaw 17 down. The Outlaw 17 I liked immediately. I played this guitar, and I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. I want one of these. And so I put out feelers for either an Outlaw 17 or the 37A. I really wanted an aged model, but I didn't want to pay the premium on the age. And this guitar came up at a really good price, so we ended up snagging it for the shop. So this is now a new shop guitar. So, but I was looking for this or a 17, so it was really cool to have the opportunity to actually physically compare them. So my thoughts on this, thinking about it last night, is what I said. This is Norman Blake. This is Billy Strings. And that's really the way I felt about it. I was like, this is a modern guitar, the Outlaw 17. Is a modern guitar with some old sensibilities, It's not as modern as, a Stratocaster. I mean, it's not a Paul Reed Smith, really modern. It's definitely got some traditional leanings to it. Whereas, I get to this one, this is definitely a very super traditional acoustic guitar. All right, now, sound-wise and playing-wise, I thought about this a lot, And my first inclination was that I really wanted this Outlaw 17, and I still would like to have one of these. And I was at the point where I would trade my D-28 41 for this guitar. And then I thought maybe I'll trade the 37A for this guitar, I don't know if the owner's going to trade for anything. But I'm going to take the other engine. I was thinking about taking the other engine and tempting him with either one of them. But as I played it more and more last night, I thought, you know what? I have other really good guitars, and the Outlaw is too close to the Custom Shop Bluegrass 16 over there. They have the same neck. They sound really, really similar. And that's why I was attracted to it, because I thought this would be a great mahogany counterpart to that. But then as I played them last night, I thought, you know what? It's too close to the Bluegrass 16. And the Bluegrass 16 is rosewood, so I'm kind of much more of a rosewood guy, you know? I'll get it over here in just a minute. We'll do a quick A-B of the Outlaw versus the Bluegrass 16, and you'll see what I'm talking about. After I played this a lot, I said, this wood is a little too close to the BG16, and if I owned them both, I'm not sure which one I would play, because they're so similar to each other. Now, when I get the 37A, that's a different guitar altogether. I really don't have anything like this 37A, this D-18. I really don't have anything like this. I don't have anything with the wide spacing, the big neck, the big fat neck, the mahogany. So this guitar checks off a lot of boxes on something that I don't have. And that's what I said about the CSBG too. It checks off a lot of boxes. It's got a 1 3/4 inch neck. It's got a large sound hole. It's got Guatemalan rosewood. It's got a VTS top. It's got forward X bracing. Those are all things that no other guitar in my collection has. So that guitar checks off a lot of boxes. The Outlaw 17 checks off a lot of the same boxes. And the difference being that it's mahogany, not rosewood. But this one checks off a whole set of boxes over here that none of these other guitars touch. You know, the D-2841 Authentic checks off a lot of those because it's rear X bracing. It's still got it's got the popsicle brace. It's got a narrow neck. It's got narrow bridge spacing. And it's Madagascar rosewood, which is the only Madagascar I have anymore. It checks off a lot of boxes over here. This checks off a whole set of boxes. So as I played it last night, I thought, you know what? I'd rather have the 37A than the Outlaw 17 at this point, because this is such a different guitar. Now, sound-wise, every time I picked these two up and I went back and forth on these two, there definitely is something different in this 37. In other words, the 17 over here, the Outlaw, every time I pick it up, I'm struck by how big of a sound it is. It sounds almost rosewood, you know? It's got this big, woofy bass to it, which is weird, because it has the same bracing as the D-18 down here. The difference is it's a forward X, fully scalloped, hide glue. And they both have VTS red spruce tops on them. They both have ebony. And the difference is that on the 18, the braces are tucks, pre-war style. It has a non-adjustable T-bar truss rod. It's got that big, massive neck on it. And other than that, they're really, really, really similar. And yet this guitar has a boom. It's got a huge bass to it. I wonder, after I compared them last night and played them, I wondered if it had a little too much bass. And I wonder if it would get lost in a jam session. I don't know. I'd have to play them both in a jam session and see. So I'm mixed feelings on the bass on this thing. And on one hand, God, I pick it up and I'm like, yeah, man. You know, this thing has got tremendously good bass to it. Down here. And it's got a percussion. It's got that woof to it that I talk about. Let's see if you can hear it. See, it's almost a drum-like sound. Now compare it to this one, to the 37. That's different, you know? And you can tell me what you think about how it sounds to you, but it's different. This is more focused, a little bit tighter, a little bit punchier, a little bit more treble maybe going on to it. It doesn't quite have the percussive woof that one has. So listen again. It's got some good bass, but there's something going on the upper end there. You know? Definitely something there. And I don't know which one I like better. It's just a difference. It's like, okay, this is this and this is that. And that's the uniqueness of the guitar. I always try to play to the guitar. Now, when I did the E chord, at first I thought this one had more bass. I did that roll back and then strum. And at first I thought that one had more bass. But then I picked this one up and I did that. And I'm like, So I think it is. What I think I hear on that, there's more treble going on in here. It's bassy, but I bet if I ran it on a frequency spectrogram, I think you would pick up more upper frequencies in the bass note. And I would not be surprised if that's not partially a result of that bear claw. Because like I said, bear claw always has, to me, some sort of flavor to it. A Christmas. There's something going on there where bear claw sounds like, a little bit different. So, that's my thoughts on playing the guitars. And I'm not sure, again, which one I prefer. Again, it's just a difference here. All right, let me get the BZ16, and I want to show you why it's so similar to the Outlaw. So if you ever have the opportunity to get either one of these guitars, you know which one to go for. And the same for me. Someday down the road, the Outlaw 17 is going to come up for sale, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to review this video, and I'm going to think, do I really need to buy it? All right. Here is the Bluegrass 16. So it has the same neck. It's got white binding. It's large sound hole. It's been in a couple of other videos against the Outlaw and against a couple of other guitars. Rosewood, Guatemalan rosewood. Now listen to the sound, and this is a heavy guitar compared to the Outlaw, but listen to the sound a little bit of this compared to the Outlaw, and you'll see what I mean by they're pretty similar. So let's just G chord. What do you think? Yeah, they're similar. But I think, to me, the Rosewood still has more. To me, mahogany always kind of fits inside a Rosewood. And funny, people disagree with me about this, but I gave my son my 70s Martins. He's got my D-18, my 72 D-18, and my 73 D-28. And when he first started playing the guitars, he said, I like the D-18. I had a bunch of guitars here. He played them all. He liked all the D-18s and didn't like the 28s. I said, well, take these home, play them for a little bit. So he's had them a couple of months now. And I asked him which one he playing. And he goes, well, I'm playing the D-28. And he said, when you get used to it, the D-28 has got more, and the 18 fits inside of it. He used almost my exact words, without ever, to my knowledge, ever having heard me say that. And so he agreed with me on that. So that was kind of fun. But I feel like the 28 has a little bit more on every spec than the mahogany guitar. Let's listen to this rumble now. Has amazingly deep bass for an 18. Really does. Okay, the low E. Okay, let's just do a phrase on it. Let's do that little G lick that I did on these two guitars. Tell me what you hear. You tell me what you hear. But I think sitting here playing them, I think the 28, the CS, the BG16, I hear a little bit more upper end clarity, a little bit more snap to it. The mahogany guitar sounds just a little bit softer, a little bit more muted, but I mean just a little bit here. I'm splitting hairs. But you can see why I said that I think that these two guitars are too close to each other to justify owning both of them. Whereas that 37A brings something considerably different to the table. And so if I want a modern lead flat picking guitar with a slim neck, I'm going to pick up this BG16. And if I want a more traditional sound and I want to feel like Norman Blake, or I want to feel like Charles Sautel, or I want to feel like Kenny Smith, if I want to feel like one of those vintage kind of sounding guys, I'm going to pick up that 37A. If I want to feel like Tony Rice, I'm going to play the CSBG. And if I want to feel like the other guys, Kenny Smith's a pretty modern player. I love his playing, but I kind of think of him as a more traditional sort of, just because he likes those D-18s. He loves those old D-18 sounds. And so, anyway, yeah, I would pick up that 37A. It brings out a different flavor. So that's where I'm at with all these guitars. But gosh, what a great opportunity to compare some really rare guitars here. This Outlaw, they made 100 of these. And again, I don't think they got the whole 100 done. So there's less than 100 of these Outlaw 17s out there. Nobody knew what they were, because, what's an Outlaw 17? Why do I want that? I kind of need to play it first because the specs are so different. And the same thing was true of the BG. 100 of these, and less than 100, I think they stopped. When I first heard of a BG16, I thought it was a level 16. 28, 18, and then the 16s are, they're good guitars, but they're below the 18s. And I thought, 16, I didn't pay any attention to it. It was for the year 2016, 2017. So there's less than 100 of these. I got two of them sitting here. That's kind of rare, That's like having those D8, D45 Authentics, A super rare opportunity to compare limited series guitars. Now, the 37A, they're cranking those out. So, they're available. And nothing super special about them yet. They've been around for a while. They're kind of maturing. In the 22 model, though, they did change the shape of it. And so the earlier Authentics didn't quite have the correct body shape. And it's off by just a little bit. And they fixed that. And so this is the correct body shape. This is the first one of the new Authentics that I actually have seen. And, it's good. I hope the binding stays on it. The first thing I noticed when I put it under my shoulders, I swear that upper bout is bigger. I put it under my arm, and this feels big. It's strange. I'm going to have to do some measurements on that. But it feels like it's a little bit bigger across that upper bout, lower bout. I put this in my arm, and I don't get that feeling. It feels like my arm is down. So, weird, I put this one up and it feels comfortable. I pick up the 37 and it feels like this, just a little bit. Something to think about. Okay, now I'm done talking. And I'm going to play some tunes on all of these guitars, just straight playing, and you can hear them in an actual tune context. So I like to hear from you. I always like to hear your comments on what you hear guys hear in these guitars, and what your preference is, and why you pick one or the other. But I do like to know the whys. So let me know what you think about them. All right, time to play.